about Italian composer Cesare Valentini. I know I've got a lot of viewers out there that have a more tonal approach and who might find some of Cesare's music a bit challenging. Well, to be perfectly frank with you, I'm a bit of a tonalist myself, and I find a lot of what Cesare composes challenging. But I suspect that if you really listen to what he is doing orchestrally, how he uses dynamics and extended techniques, and how he builds fantastic textures with very original architecture, then you might find his music as fascinating as I have, even a bit addictive. There are enormous lessons to be learned from Cesare's music, for a composer of any approach. On his YouTube channel, Cesare lists Penderecki, Messiaen, and Ligeti as influences, and his music can be seen as carrying forward some of their approach and language. But what I find compelling about Cesare Valentini as a composer are those touches that are unique to him, one of which is his lyricism. When I first stumbled across Cesare's channel, what I saw was this video here, the Preghiera di San Bernardo, and I was immediately hooked. It was a setting of the very last canto of Dante's Divine Comedy, in which the pilgrim looks into infinity and reaches the end of all desire. The music seemed to embody perfectly the completion of a spiritual journey, not in some glowing, triumphant series of big major chords, but much more effectively in language that is bittersweet, haunting, and really showing the weariness of a spirit who has been through it all, from hell to heaven. The sense of fulfillment is tempered with a knowledge of the price to pay for perfection, and it makes the ecstasies stand out all the more passionately. The way that Cesare blends the idioms of an advanced harmonic language with heartfelt lyrical melodicism beautifully mirrors Dante's own Renaissance-era marriage of science and poetry. Most composers like to set the very first verses of the Inferno, or other passages from that first volume of the Divine Comedy. Cesare really shows the potential of the other end of the Divine Comedy for adaptation as well, if approached with originality and imagination. Before we move on, it's worth mentioning that the singer you see here is none other than Susanna Ragacci, that great lyrical soprano who's a specialist not only in contemporary music, but also in Baroque performance. Cesare could not have worked with a better singer than this, especially in setting a text of Dante. That's typical of what you'll see on this channel. The performers in his uploads tend to be first-rate, and his compositions fit them like a musical glove. I mentioned extended techniques earlier, and you may have viewed other videos of mine in which I caution against their overuse. The fact is, there is a way of using them with abandon that doesn't tire the listener or the performer, and in fact stimulates the imagination, showing how musical those extended techniques can be when treated with care. Cesare's two pieces for string orchestra illustrate this to a T. The first, Rarefazioni di Luce, is practically a how-to book on the tasteful saturation of extended string techniques. I love this section here, with the counterpoint rhythms running through the lower strings in pizzicato harmonics. Here's another great section, with tremolo harmonics, harmonic glissando and harmonic portamento, and left-hand pizzicato. Notice how the harmonic glissando is not used as a background effect, but dived into with full force as a standalone musical element. The other string piece, Universi Paralleli, is more impressionistic and descriptive. It is intended as a musical trip through the cosmos, and not only is it tautly composed modernistic music, it is also the kind of musical accompaniment that more fully ties your visual sense to vast images of faraway, mysterious parts of the universe. New Age music has often been used in astronomy documentary soundtracks to suggest a sense of spiritual peace and contentment with the stars. But if you really read up on astronomy, you know that the universe is a dangerous place, full of more wonders and terrors than any epic saga. The sense of mystery and suspense can be overwhelming. That's a mood that Cesare has captured wonderfully in this piece, and it's instructive for any soundtrack composer in training. Check out this part, how it chimes like the pulse of a rotating neutron star. What's the end result? These pieces sound ethereal, eerie, and otherworldly, but never dehumanizing, never alienating. In fact, there's a deep sense of humanity, I find, in both of these pieces, and also in his standout piece for full orchestra, Movimento Circolare. If you've ever flown in a two-seater plane and the tranquility of that moment just after dusk, when the sky starts to darken, and stray thoughts come and go as the stars slowly come into being, then you'll recognize immediately the mood that Cesare is capturing in this piece. Movimento Circolare depicts not just flight in general, but the specific last flight of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, that great aviator and author who disappeared seemingly into thin air during a World War II reconnaissance mission. Into this music of random thoughts and ideas is also a hint of the character of the mind that conceived such works as The Little Prince, and the very real danger from the Nazi anti-aircraft guns below. Just like Cesare's other pieces, this is descriptive music at a very high level, and would be perfect for a great film about wartime aviation. It's amazing to me that as of today, in late August of 2010, the YouTube videos of this piece have only gotten 60 to 80 views since they were uploaded 3 months ago. They should have 10 times, even 100 times that many. If you're a student of orchestration, especially of the emotional possibilities of orchestral texture and film scoring, then you owe it to yourself to go have a look. This piece was premiered in Mexico earlier this year, in 3 performances, including this one with that excellent group, the Mexican State Orchestra, which, as you can hear, has got some great players. If you drop in on Cesare's website, you can see that he's starting to develop an international profile, and that bodes well for the particular style of contemporary music that he composes. I could see Cesare eventually becoming a leading voice in the slow evolution of late 20th century approaches towards a more universal, forward-looking idiom, in which technique and innovation are no longer an end in themselves, but a doorway to something greater. So that's August 2010's YouTube Composer of the Month. Next month we go to Hungary to explore the youthful works of the composer who inspired me to start this whole series in the first place. See you then.